It started like one of those nights you wish you could erase. The kind where fear tastes like metal in your mouth and every step you take sounds too loud in the quiet street. Emily's heels clicked against the wet pavement as she hurried toward the diner's neon glow, the only sign of life left at this late hour. Behind her, footsteps echoed again. Slow. Measured. Following, she glanced over her shoulder. The man was still there. Mid-40s, unshaven, eyes too sharp to be harmless. He had followed her since she left the office, pretending to look at his phone, pretending not to notice her quickening pace. But she wasn't stupid. She knew the difference between coincidence and danger. Emily swallowed hard and kept walking. She couldn't show fear. Not tonight. Not when the city already felt like it was closing in on her. Inside the diner, a few truckers nursed their coffee, a teenage waitress wiped tables half asleep, and the jukebox hummed something old. Emily slid into a booth near the window, pulling out her phone, pretending to text someone. She didn't want to call the police. She'd done that once before when she was younger, and no one had come until it was too late. She just needed to look like she wasn't alone. The bell above the door jingled again. Her heart froze. The man walked in. He scanned the room, eyes landing on her, a slow, deliberate smile spreading on his face. He took a step closer, and Emily's mind screamed for an escape. But then, from across the diner, a man stood up. He was tall, mid-30s maybe, with dark hair that curled slightly at the ends, a few days' worth of stubble, and tired eyes that carried something gentle. He was dressed in a mechanic's jacket, grease on his sleeves, exhaustion on his face. He looked like someone who had worked too hard for too long. Before Emily could react, he walked straight toward her, slid into the booth across from her, and said softly, "Sorry I'm late, babe. Traffic was a nightmare." The stranger's face dropped. He hesitated, glanced between them, and slowly backed away. Emily blinked. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "Helping," the man murmured, still smiling faintly like it was all real. "You looked scared." Her throat tightened. She hadn't expected kindness. Not here. Not from a stranger who looked like life had already taken too much from him. When the men who had been following her finally left the diner, she exhaled for the first time in minutes. "Thank you," she said, voice shaking. He nodded. "No problem. You're safe now." She looked at him properly then. His hands were calloused, his nails rough, the kind of hands that fixed things, that built instead of destroyed. "I'm Emily," she said. He hesitated before replying. "Ryan." She noticed the ring mark on his finger. No ring, just the faint shadow of where one used to be. He ordered coffee, and they talked, or rather, she tried to ask questions, and he tried to deflect. He was a single dad, he finally admitted. His daughter was 6, his world. Her mom had left when things got hard. He worked long hours at a garage to make ends meet. He said it all like it didn't matter, but the ache behind his words said otherwise. Emily didn't tell him she was a CEO. That she owned the very company whose towering glass building he passed every morning. Tonight, she wasn't a woman in power. She was just a woman who had been scared, and he had been the only one to care. When she finally stood to leave, Ryan walked her to her car. "You should get that back taillight fixed," he said softly. "It's cracked." She smiled. "Maybe you could fix it." He grinned, a real grin this time. "Maybe I could." That was the first night they met. But neither of them knew how deeply that one moment would change their lives. The next morning, Emily arrived at her office, 39 floors above the city, the woman everyone admired and feared. She wore confidence like armor, her assistant trailing behind her with files and coffee. No one could have guessed that just hours earlier, that same woman had been trembling in a diner. She thought about Ryan more than she wanted to admit. The way he had stepped in without hesitation. The way his voice had steadied her fear. When she sent her car to the garage for repairs that week, she didn't expect to see him again. But there he was, same jacket, same quiet eyes. His daughter, Lily, sat in the corner drawing on scrap paper. Ryan smiled when he saw her. "Guess the taillight finally gave up." "Guess I had to come back," she said, smiling. Lily looked up. "You're pretty," she said bluntly. Emily laughed. "Thank you, sweetheart." Ryan tried to hide his embarrassment, but Emily only found it endearing. Something about the two of them, the simple, unpolished warmth, tugged at her heart in a way that board meetings and profit charts never could. Over the next few weeks, Emily found excuses to stop by. Just checking on the repairs. Thought I'd bring some coffee. Oh, I had a meeting nearby. Lies, all of them, but Ryan didn't call her out. He'd just smile, that same half-smile that reached his tired eyes, but the truth always finds its way out. One afternoon, Ryan's friend left the TV on in the waiting area, a news segment about the youngest female CEO in the state expanding her company. Emily's face filled the screen. Lily gasped. "Daddy. That's Miss Emily." Ryan's smile faded. The warmth in his expression turned to disbelief, then distance. When Emily walked in moments later, holding 2 cups of coffee, she knew immediately something had changed. "So," he said quietly, "you're not just Emily." She froze. "Ryan, I didn't want you to look at me differently. I wanted to just be me." He sighed. "You think I care about money or titles? I just don't like being lied to." Her throat tightened. "I didn't lie. I just wanted a break from being someone everyone wants something from." His silence hurt more than anger would have. She left that day feeling smaller than she had in years, but life has a way of giving second chances, often when you least expect them. A week later, Ryan's daughter fell ill. Hospital bills piled up, and the garage owner threatened to cut his hours. Pride kept him from asking anyone for help. But Emily found out anyway. She arrived at the hospital quietly, no cameras, no assistants, no press. Just her, holding a small stuffed bear. Ryan saw her standing by the doorway, eyes gentle, unsure. "I didn't come to fix anything," she said softly. "I just came to help." This time, he didn't push her away. In the days that followed, Emily spent more time with Lily, reading stories, bringing soup, making Ryan laugh again. Somewhere in the chaos of hospital rooms and sleepless nights, the walls between them fell away. When Lily was finally discharged, Ryan pulled Emily aside outside the hospital. His eyes were red, but his voice was steady. "You didn't have to do any of that." "I know," she whispered. "But I wanted to." He took her hand, rough and warm and real. "Then maybe we can start over. No pretending this time." For the first time in years, Emily didn't feel like a CEO or a woman who had to prove herself. She just felt seen, and in that moment, under the pale morning light, a man who had saved her once without knowing who she was, became the one person who reminded her what it meant to be human, because sometimes, the most unexpected people show up when you need them the most. And sometimes, pretending to be someone's date turns into the beginning of something real, something that neither money nor titles could ever be. By the time the story ends, you'll believe that kindness from a stranger can rewrite an entire life, because that's exactly what it did for Emily and Ryan.